Monster. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the newest episode of the Lane Financial Group podcast. I have a very, very special guest for you guys today. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this guy's story. I will say it up front. Most of you are probably going to hear this when he gets into talking about it and think this guy's nuts. But you got to listen to the end of the story because it ends up working out a lot better. It's very, very interesting, very, very insightful. And he is one of the top guys that we have at our company, one of the best producers, one of the best teachers, all that good stuff. So without further ado, Mr. Christopher Holt, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Great to be here.
So, like everybody, and anybody that's listening knows, I always like to start off. We talk about you. I like to hear, where you grew up, your childhood, what it was like in Missouri. Kind of just your values from your parents that you learned growing up there, and let's hear about you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Missouri. Grew up in somewhat, I guess, of a small town, town of about 100,000 people in middle Missouri, somewhere between St. Louis and Kansas City, if people are familiar with those. So, I grew up in a smaller town and, just grew up pretty well off, actually. Family was pretty financially secure growing up, and so that was you know good. But I mean, like, what was I doing like growing up mainly? I mean, most of the time when I was growing up, I wasn't. It's funny, like I wasn't really that hard of a worker. I didn't really work that much. I didn't really want to work that much up until I got my first job. When I got my first job, I really enjoyed just working and doing a good job and making money and being the best at whatever I was doing, no matter what the circumstances were, which was kind of a different attitude for me compared to what I was like previously. Before, I didn't really care much about school that much. I always got good enough grades for my parents not to yell at me a bunch. I always got good enough grades. School was always somewhat fairly easy for me. I was always pretty, I guess, studious. I guess it was not. I could go into a Spanish quiz and not really practice that much and still get a good grade, still get like an
Yep.
A- or B plus or something. That
Yeah.
was, and I just had that ability. So, but I just didn't really like it that much. But once I got my first job, I really started just liking working and making money. So,
Mhm. That's awesome. And
yeah.
then so I know this. So talk about not going to college. Like, was there other than just like you didn't like school, or was it not pushed by your parents, or did they want you to go?
So my dad was a physician in the medical field, and
Hmm.
obviously there's a lot of college that goes on with
Yeah.
that, and he just kind of deterred. I'm one of four, so I got three
Hmm.
sisters. He kind of just deterred us from pursuing that field, and I just didn't really want to do any of the jobs that required additional or higher education
Hmm.
that paid well. And by those jobs, I just mean the jobs that pay well, doctor, lawyer.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any of those. Pharmacists, I would include in there. Some pharmacists make pretty good money.
Hmm.
I just didn't want to do any of those jobs. Like I just, my dad, ever since Obamacare, like the pay for physicians really changed in not a good way. So their
Hmm.
income went down a lot. And so he's just like, it's just not worth it. Like, you're going to spend all this money, or we're going to spend all this money on sending you to school, and for what? So
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like they don't make a lot of money. They do. It's just, I mean, it's a huge, I mean, they're
Not what it
making they're
was.
making they're making literally trash money for 10 years to
Yeah.
finally make a lot of money, right? And then
Hmm.
by that time they have 500,000 of debt, and
Hmm.
they got to pay all that off, and then they can finally start making good money by the time they're like 40.
Hmm.
When they've been grinding that whole time. So
Yeah.
again, like, some people might think that like that's like a small price, but imagine like that's what you're wanting to do, and then you see all these people like 21, 22, 28 making a ton of money, and like myself, never went to school, making a ton of
Yeah.
money, never went to school. So, what do you want to do?
Yeah,
So anyway,
exactly.
I just didn't want to do any of that. Back to your question. I just didn't want to do any of that. And
Hmm.
so I I was in I was in construction and I just started traveling and doing construction. And I had a friend that was on a crew and those guys were making six figures a year, just traveling. So at
Hmm.
19, that's exactly what I was doing. I was like, I don't know anybody else making six figures at 19. So I'm just going to go work with my buddies. So
Yeah.
I literally was wanting to get that job, and he's like, "Hey, a spot opened up. I'll talk to the foreman." Talks to him. It was like a Thursday, and then he says, "Hey, you need to be in Iowa by Sunday night." And then I'm in Iowa, and I'm starting to work. So that's like how quick it happened. So, and then
And how
I
much
just
of the
started doing that.
travel, like when you say travel, like was it just kind of throughout the Midwest region, or were you going like all over the country?
It's mainly through the Midwest. It was like Nebraska,
Okay.
Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. Um, I worked I worked in Wisconsin. I worked in Tennessee. I worked in Texas. Trying to
So
think if there's
relatively
anywhere else.
close to home, but still, I'm sure traveling quite a bit doing that too. Like how often were you
Yeah,
guys on the road?
it was like 10 days on, 4 days off. But
Okay.
one of the, I guess, healthy or good traits about me to being successful is I'm always going to be someone who's going to do something that other people
Hmm.
would refuse to do.
Hmm.
People that have this attitude of like, oh, I'm only going to do this, or I'm only going to do that, or I'm only going to work within these parameters and everything else I don't really care to do. That is
Hmm.
like not what I even want to be like. That's not what I want to be
Yeah.
associated with. I don't like that kind of attitude. And so how that manifested in that job is, we were doing these construction jobs, we get done and the development would finish and then we go to the next one. And so
Hmm.
as the development is getting close to finishing, then we don't need as many people. We just need people there in case something isn't operating correctly or something isn't working
Hmm.
correctly.
Yeah.
So, or something breaks and something has to be repaired, right? That's the only reason we're just kind of there for optics pretty much. So they don't need as many people. And so a lot of people on our crew would just go home. They would just get sent
Hmm.
home. They would go home. They'd never stay for the full opening of this development. And I would always stay every single time. I
Hmm.
never went home early, never they would ask, "Hey, Chris, you want to go home?" I'm like, "No, I'll just stay. I'll just stay every time." And then other people that were more senior than me, I mean, they just were there longer, had more experience, etc.
Yeah.
They would always go home every single time. And so I slowly just throughout the company was just seen as someone that would just go more above and beyond. And that led
Hmm.
me to getting promotions in front of all those people.
Hmm.
And so I would just do a lot of different things that those people wouldn't. Someone needed a trailer pulled from here to here, I'd go do that.
Hmm.
Or I needed to go pick up this. We're off work for 4 days and this work needs to be done, I'd go do it. So,
Hmm.
and it was just like that when I got my own crew. I ended up getting my own crew by the time I was 21. It's so crazy. So I'm sitting here working on this team, making six figures a year, and then I get promoted to having my own team, and now I'm making $200,000 a year doing this,
Hmm.
and I have my own team. And I just hire all my friends. I'm a 21-year-old, and I just hire all my friends onto my crew. So it's
Hmm.
me and a bunch of my fellow 21-year-olds traveling all over the country, and I'm a project manager at this point, and so it's my job to oversee the entire development. And so it
Hmm.
really, I'm running the entire development, and I'm really in charge of the entire operation in the field. We
Hmm.
have a corporate office back in Missouri, but on those specific job sites, I was controlling things there. And I really liked that. I liked being able to control more, and I liked running a team way more than being on a team.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I started doing that. And even then in that role, we'd be off for 4 days and I get a call about something needing to be done. I didn't have to go take care of it. I go take care of it.
Hmm.
I remember this, we needed to get some piece of equipment from this one. I was in Columbia, Missouri, which is my hometown. And I was done. I was off work and I got a call at like 10 p.m. and I
Hmm.
needed to go take this. We needed to get this part or this piece of equipment from Columbia, Missouri, in our warehouse to Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That's like a 3.5 hour drive. So I just
Hmm.
immediately stop what I'm doing, go drive over, and get back at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning back in Columbia. So it's just like stuff like that. I was always doing just more than what other people would do. And
Hmm.
that's the only reason, it was an opportunity, right? It was there. You have somewhat of a luck circumstance. It's like that position opened up. But
Hmm.
if you're always doing what you need to do and you're always practicing and preparing, what do they call it? They say something to the effect of when preparation and practice meets an opportunity, that's what they
Yep.
call luck, right?
Yep.
So I just put myself in a position to always be ready for those new opportunities by doing all of those different activities, just doing more
Yeah.
than other people would do. When I was working on a team, I'd go when my team was off for 4 days, I'd go work with some other team that was working,
Hmm.
and I'd just get more hours.
Yeah. Just
So
putting in the extra work, showing that like you said,
yeah,
like you're putting in that extra that a lot of people wouldn't. They would take the time off.
yeah, and other people just don't have as much like discipline towards the amount of time needed to create something happen or to create a certain result. They want to be able to build a business. They want to get a promotion.
Hmm.
They won't put the time in long term to actually get it, or they can't handle the lows that come with it.
Hmm.
And when I was working on this crew, they had no and there was three crews. They had no intention at the time that we knew of getting more crews.
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to stay on this crew. And you have
Hmm.
people that would quit because like they're like, I want to get off the road. I want to be home more.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about any of that. I had friends that would quit. They would work for like 9 months and then they're like, I want to be with my girlfriend more. They would say something ridiculous like that. And and then they would go home and then complain about not making as much money. I just wanted to make money, whatever the cost. I didn't
Yeah.
care what the cost was. I didn't care if it was digging ditches. I didn't care if it was building bridges. I didn't care what it was. I wanted to make money and be successful. And
Hmm.
I didn't care really what it took to be able to do that. And I just stuck with it long term. And I remember I got into that job initially from a friend.
Yeah.
Those guys quit and they missed out on the opportunity to run a crew. And so
Hmm.
I'm over here making multiple six figures, and I ended up hiring some of them, and they're back to being on the road again, you know?
Hmm.
And so they're just missing out on opportunities because they can't stick with it. They can't stay in an opportunity long enough. If something doesn't look perfect right now, and it looks like the trajectory isn't going to be what they think it is, it's like, oh, they're not hiring more crews, they're not starting more crews. This isn't a good idea. I'm going to go do something else. They go do something else. Turns out that company got a bunch of private equity funding, and it led to them creating 10 more crews.
Yeah.
So
So
anyway,
would you think that like you kind of touched on like the sacrifices, per se, that obviously you didn't see them as sacrifices, but a lot of people would have, to get to where you got. What would you think like the biggest lesson that you learned from that kind of experience, like kind of touching what you were saying in terms of like
oh,
you
from
just stuck it
construction?
out. Yeah, like you stuck it out where a lot of your friends didn't. Like, do you think that would probably be the biggest lesson that you learned of just like, hey, like Evan says, the good days are and the bad days, everything's gonna pass. Like, would you think that was probably the biggest thing?
This is the biggest lesson that I knew that company wasn't going to be a good company for me to stay at long term. I didn't, there was a lot of things I didn't like.
Hmm.
But one thing that they taught me, which I think was incredibly valuable that not a lot of companies will teach you, is like, look, your job is to get this done no matter the cost. Like, there's
Yeah.
no good excuse. We need this handled and done right now, today, and it has to happen now. And just having that attitude all the time is so valuable for
Hmm.
entrepreneurship or having a business.
Hmm.
Because
We'll deal with the
in the
finance
corporate
later.
in the
We need it
corporate
done.
world, well, it's not even just that. It's like we need to get this specific project done. It's like, well, we
Hmm.
stop work at 5 p.m. No, you don't. You're going to work until this is done.
Yeah.
We're going to get this done tonight.
Yeah.
So we have to have this ready by the morning. So we're going to have to work all night to make this happen.
Yeah.
And I don't really care what you have going on. I don't really care what you had planned. We have to get this done right now today.
Yeah.
That attitude helps you win in business. I
Hmm.
hear a lot of people that will get started and they're like, I don't work weekends. I'm like, okay,
And
that's just
you don't work here.
no, it's not like we're doing this on a Saturday, right? It's not like
Yeah.
people have to work weekends. They don't have to.
Yeah.
But the people that I know that are in this business that kill it, that don't work weekends, I mean, it is literally sun up to sundown on Monday through Friday. I have a friend who's been
Yeah.
in this business 20 plus years, and he's like, "Oh, I never work weekends." And he's not telling the full story. The story is he's starting at 7 a.m. and not stopping work till 8 or 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. some days
Yeah.
on Monday through Friday. And he's just
Yep.
like, oh, you don't have to work weekends. He doesn't because he does all this extra work, right?
He's putting
But
that hours from the weekend into the week.
but to my point is that was the most valuable thing I learned at that company was like we have to
Hmm.
get this done literally right now. We just have there are no good excuses for not executing.
Yeah.
Have to execute as quick as possible. That was the most valuable thing
Hmm.
that I learned because in the corporate world it's kind of just like they can like skate by because of the scale of the business, the amount of leverage the business
Hmm.
has. They can kind
Yeah.
of just be like, oh, we'll just push this to next week.
Yeah.
We'll get this done when it's convenient. No rush. Like, yeah, we were supposed to have it done in 2 weeks. It took 2.5. No big deal.
Hmm.
There's not as much expectation. And when you have a business, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like I have to be submitting and issuing 20,000 points every single week of production.
Yeah.
$20,000 worth of premium or 20,000 or 200 plus $1,000 of rollovers every single week. And there's no excuse. It has to be done,
Yeah.
no matter how hard it is. I may get done and having submitted all that business by Tuesday. It may not be until Sunday at 10 p.m.,
Hmm.
but I have to do that all the time. And
Yeah.
certain things just have to happen immediately. And there has to be this intensity and this sense of urgency. And that's what
Hmm.
that company taught me was we have to we have to get this all done right now. We have to stay late. I don't care, what the cost is. We have to finish. We have to complete the task as quick as possible.
Hmm.
And it was like when I it was like that from time to time. Like we'd get down to the wire on opening the development. And our owner would be like, "We're opening this build. We're finishing this development on Thursday, and I don't care what it takes." And so, I mean, I remember working in Houston and we would just work all nighter, all nighter, all nighter. I had this one time card that was 200 hours in a 2 week period. I have a screenshot of it.
Hey, that's a
I
lot.
yeah, yeah, 200 hours in one bye week,
Yeah,
100
like,
hours
and
a week.
that's I said like because my background is a diesel mechanic, right? Like
Okay.
that's a lot of you're there 8 hours, but there's a lot of times where it's like no, that truck's got to get done. You can stay late if you want to, and then there were the times they're like, no, you are finishing that. We're not putting 'cause if it's like a bigger job like swapping out a transmission, they'd be like, no, you're gonna finish that, and that truck needs to be ready to go by morning. Get it done. We'll
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah,
And
you
at
have to
200
have that.
hours like that, like I've done my fair share of doubles, working into, you know, way longer than I physically should have. But 200 hours, that's a lot, man. Like that's a lot of hours. I know there's people that are going to hear this that kind of like I said, like a lot of my friends are mechanics that are hear that and be like 200 hours in 2 weeks? Like how the hell do you even do that?
Yeah, I'll
Like
send you a
physically, you know what
screenshot.
I mean?
I'll send you a screenshot of the time card if you want to add it in here when you're in post production.
I might have to.
Yeah, yeah, no stolen valor here.
So I got one more question about construction, then I want to transition. So you're talking about how like it has to get done on this day, no matter what, get it done, right? How many times, and I'm asking, this is more of a mechanical question because I am a mechanic by trade. There were a lot of times we're like, no, we need that done tomorrow, and something goes so horribly wrong, but you have to like it just can't because we can't get X, Y, or Z. Like whatever, like if it's like a part, like part of your tools break, in our or my business, what it was is like, oh, like the part I was putting in broke or it's not good. I can't get it till Wednesday. Like, how do you get over those objections as a project manager?
I mean, there is some like specific pieces of equipment that would only be in our warehouse. And if something broke and you needed a replacement, you were going to drive from wherever you were to that
Mhm.
warehouse and go pick it up in the middle of the night and drive it all the way back. Or
Oh,
someone
so
was
you
going to
guys, so
bring
you
it.
always had like backup
Well,
equipment and
our
stuff?
we had a good support system for sure. And I
Okay.
had pretty much access to almost unlimited spending. So
Hmm.
like if something like I I was taught and instructed by my superiors, like if something breaks, fix it, no matter the cost. I don't care if you
Yeah.
go and spend $2,000 at Home Depot or what it is.
Hmm.
Fix that right now,
Okay.
immediately. Time was the most important thing in that
Yeah.
company, wasn't money. And
Yeah.
that's the reality of life.
Yeah.
Money means
Absolutely.
money is a tool and it's important, but the time is the most important thing.
Yeah. See, and I hear that as somebody who, we both have a that blue collar or yeah, like blue collar, getting dirty kind of background. It was not like that as a mechanic. Like on my side of things, like it was like, hey, I had a tool and it's the only tool that I can use to do whatever job and it broke. Well, we need that truck tomorrow, so just figure it out. Like I literally can't without that. Like, because there are just some things on trucks like you literally can't. You have to make sure they're down to a certain spec. That you have to have a tool for it.
Yeah, you
Well, it
have to make
costs,
sure
and
it's
then they
torqued
go,
to a
well, it costs
certain,
too much money.
yeah.
We're not getting you guys a new one. And to this
Yeah, it
day, I
wasn't.
don't work in that shop. To this day, I know, and I'm talking about a specific tool. And a friend of mine, Jager, who listens to this podcast, can know exactly what I'm talking about because we argued with him about it. To this day, this was 6 years ago, almost. They still don't have that tool
Oh, yeah. I mean,
because they don't want to spend the money for it. And I love hearing a job that the guys, like that are doing the actual work are like, hey, we need this. Cool. Done.
I wouldn't
You
even
know?
need, I was so well supported. I didn't even need to ask. I remember
Yeah.
we needed this one piece of equipment welded. And so I went out and bought a $5,000 welder
Yeah. Dude,
and then just got it done.
they'd have strung every one of us by our feet if we'd have done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
So I
it'd have
supported
been
really well.
it'd have been a problem. Like that was not like we had these like airlines on the trucks. And if we didn't have the right one, instead of going and just buying new ones, they would take the old one, go find some dude like the cheapest thing possible, and just have him rebuild it, and the truck will be back 3 days later because that
Mhm.
line popped again. And I love it when I hear stories about companies that are like, "Who cares? Go get it. Just get it done." Like I
Yeah.
love that. I wish I would have had that.
Yeah, I
Like,
liked construction a lot. You know, it's nice to be able to go and look at a property and be like, I
mhm.
built that. I built that. My team built that. We did
Yeah,
that. We did that. We did that on time. We ran a great team. You know, we were known in our company as an amazing team, a team that
yeah,
needed no oversight. No one was checking our stuff at all because they knew it was flawless. Like
yeah,
we did really good. And again, it was just me and everybody that ran a crew was like 35, 40, and I was
yeah,
21. And me and my friends that were all 21, 22, 23, we were smoking all these other crews.
yeah. No,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, we did really good. And I liked construction, but you know, a lot of people are like have an ego about what they will do and won't do
Hmm.
career wise. And I've
Yeah,
never had that once. I don't care about what I'm doing. It's all about what's going to get me the lifestyle I want
yeah,
and the life I want. If that's being in financial services, great. I can put on a nice dress shirt. I can put on a
yeah.
suit. I can do whatever I need to do. If it's in construction, I'll get my thorough goods out and, you know, and be ready to go, right? Whatever it
Absolutely.
takes. I don't care. And I can be blue collar, I can be white collar, and I can be amazing at both.
Yeah,
And it's all about just
absolutely.
what's going to give me the lifestyle I wanted. I wanted to make 200,000, as much money as possible. And the only way I saw that easily accessible at the time when I was younger was through construction and traveling.
Yeah,
And so other people had an ego about traveling. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to work in the cold. Don't care. You know, I'm in for
yeah,
it. I didn't, it doesn't mean I like it every day. There's some days I literally hated my life, but I didn't really care because I wanted $200,000 and was going
Hmm.
to do whatever it took to get it. And it's just like that in this business too. Like I wasn't crazy about financial services. I wasn't
Hmm.
crazy about setting up retirement plans and doing rollovers and doing life insurance for people. I wasn't crazy about that at all. I just kept showing up. And there was days, I mean, I was so bad. I'd never done sales before I ever got into
Hmm.
real financial, never done sales before. And I just kept showing up and kept showing up. And eventually I got good at it. And it just became like construction. I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm good at it. It was just
Yeah.
like that for construction. When I got into construction, I didn't even know how to read a tape measure.
Yeah.
Everything was a 32nd or everything was a 16th. There was no eighth. There was not
Yeah.
really a quarter. Like I just didn't know how to properly read and communicate simple
Hmm.
stuff like that. I didn't know, I didn't know how to use certain tools. And I mean, I got hazed pretty hard when I first got in, but I was the one with the last laugh. I made more money than all those people.
Exactly.
All those people, I surpassed all of them. They were
Yeah, just
laughing at
riding
me
it
for
out.
not being able to pick up on construction. They knew how to do this and they knew how to do all this stuff already because, they were raised in an environment that they were doing all that. Like I
Yeah.
grew up in a well-off family. Like I wasn't mounting my TV. We had someone that we paid to do that. I wasn't mowing my grass. We paid people to do that.
Yeah.
If we need something fixed, we weren't doing that. We would just pay someone to come over and do that. I didn't know how to
Hmm.
do any of that stuff. And
Yeah.
I beat all those people. I was better than all of them. I outperformed and out earned all of them. And it's just like that in financial services too. There's a
Hmm.
bunch of people that I've worked with, I've brought on, I've trained with that are way more extroverted than me. I'm not the most extroverted person. They're way better at building a friend. And I really think that's
Hmm.
the most important part of a sale is like, can you create some sort of connection with someone?
Yeah.
And I still out earn all those people
Yeah.
because I have
No,
all this stuff that actually matters, in my opinion.
no, and I agree. That's why part of the reason why I wanted you to come on here is, like we've talked about it. We've done on national calls and privately as well. Like just that, don't stop. Who cares? Like just work hard. Like that's all it comes down to. It's that mindset of just I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it done. Like you've been saying this whole time. Like that's a big thing that I think a lot of people need to hear, like myself
Yeah.
included. Like not throwing still, like myself included. Like I'm not as good as it as I probably should be. That's something that I like that. You
Well,
know.
when you're working in a company and if you don't do your job and hit your target, you still get paid
Mhm.
next week. Like you can
Yeah.
screw around and not really put in effort for a week and then
Hmm.
go back to putting in effort and you're still going to make money. It does not work like that in entrepreneurship.
Right.
If I just decide to um, just work a lazy week for this week, next week, the third week, and I kind of produce a little bit, all of a sudden, a couple months later, I'm like, man, I'm not making 15,000 a week anymore.
Yeah.
I'm making like $2,000 a week. Well, that's because you've lost that intensity.
Yeah.
You've lost that we have to do this now.
Hmm.
And that's people's biggest problem in this business is they don't have this sense of urgency. And I see it. It's just like, it's like people that are part-time. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to hang out this weekend. It's like, bro, you haven't hit your standard this week.
Yeah.
You have not hit your standard. If you're part-time, your standard should be 10,000 points a week. You haven't hit that. Why are you doing that? Well,
Yeah.
my wife, we just, dude, you're not going to be able to provide the life you want to your wife or your kids if you keep acting that way. You have
Yeah.
to get this done now. Tell them you gotta push that off because you got to take care of them.
Yep.
Like and people just don't get that. Like, and they actually have all these amazing reasons of why they need to be successful. They need to be able to provide more to their kids. It's expensive. They need to
Hmm.
be able to provide more to their wife. I don't have any of that. And
Yeah.
I'm consistently the number one, number two producer in the entire company.
I, every week.
Yeah, every
It's
single
literally
week.
it's you. Well, now I used to say it was you and Evan. Now it's
Yeah,
you, Evan, and
yeah,
Steve.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
the three of you
Yeah,
guys, and Evan's on vacation right now.
and those guys
Like,
all have kids,
yeah,
wives, spouses, families, etc. And it should be like that. They should be
100%.
crushing it, taking care of those folks. The sad thing is most people actually blame their family becomes the reason they got into the business and the excuse for why they don't perform.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time, and it's like the most disgusting thing ever. People
Yeah.
constantly blame their family. They say, "Well, I couldn't do this week. I couldn't make these calls because I was just got caught up with family." And I'm like, okay, like imagine they heard you say that.
Yeah.
They heard you blame them for why you couldn't make more money or you couldn't provide
100%.
them a better life. That is absurd. Like make the
Yeah.
calls, book the appointments, figure it out,
Absolutely.
or just
So
run the play.
let's kind of transition a little bit. Most people, if you're making 250,000 a year, they're not leaving. Just
Yeah.
most people, right? I think that's a fair assessment of everything. So what was that decision like for you? Like, was there one specific moment? Was it always just looking ahead, wanting to, kind of do your own thing? Like, what was that decision like? 'Cause to walk away from 250 grand, like that's it's quite a bit of money that most people like, and I'll say myself, like I would have had a hard time walking away from that kind of money. Like so how did you get to that point where you said, you know what, I'm out. I gotta leave.
Yeah, and I'll just break it down for folks so they have an idea of like how much money this was. Like I was getting paid, I was making like anywhere between like 15 and 20,000. And I was making a lot of money also every month from just I had a couple different sources. Okay, so I
Hmm.
just my regular hourly, I was getting paid
Hmm.
like 60, 65 an hour. And then I had a ton, like you can hear like 200 hours. Like we had no cap on overtime, absolutely zero
Yeah.
cap. I could get as much overtime as I wanted. And so I was making a lot of money just on my hourly. I was also getting mileage too. So I was picking up another 2,000 a month in just
Hmm.
mileage that I was getting paid. And then I was getting 1,500-ish a month in bonuses for these developments that I was completing. And then a lot of these developments we'd buy a development and it had a ton of copper in it. So we'd strip all the existing copper because we were going to put all brand new copper in. So we'd
Yeah.
strip all the existing copper and then go sell it. So I was picking up another 1,000 a month from just copper. And so I was picking up anywhere, and all that's a lot of that's cash, right? So there's no
Yeah.
taxes or anything,
Yeah.
right? So um, and then there was just other little things that we'd be able to me and my team would be able to monetize. Like it's hard to explain without getting in the details of the actual type of developments we were doing, but there would be these developments we'd buy, and there's certain equipment and things that were on the site that we could just sell. Like our company
Yeah.
just wanted us to get rid of it. So we were like, oh, this is actually good quality. We're gonna go sell it. So we'd sell it to people. And so I was
Hmm.
picking up some more money from that. So I was making anywhere between 15 and $20,000 a month doing that. But to your point, it's like, how do you leave that? How do you just give all that up? Um, well, part of the thing is like I again I grew up in a really well-off family. My dad was a physician, he was a doctor, he was making good money doing that. And so that's always kind of been kind of the bar in my mind.
Hmm.
And we always grew up going on nice trips, nice vacations, just having nice stuff all the time. And I like
Hmm.
having nice stuff. And 15 and 20 grand a month is good to provide me alone nice stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not really enough for me to take it to the level I want to take it. I want to have cars. I want to have multiple houses. I want to be able to spend $100,000 on just some jewelry for my wife and not even think anything about it. That's
Yeah.
like the life I want to be able to have. And so 200,000 is just not going to cut it. And I
Hmm.
also, this might offend some people, but I just don't think $200,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like $20,000. I mean, I could blow that so quick. I can think of, I could spend that in a day on so many different things. I could go take my wife on a trip and the money's gone. One trip,
Yeah.
go out to Italy, gone. And that's like a really cheap Italy trip. Like I start thinking about what it's going to cost to do certain things. Like, oh, we want to go to Lake Como. Let's stay in this hotel. This hotel's nice. Oh, it's $3,000 a night. So I'm in. If I want to go there for five nights, I'm in 15 to 20 G's already just on the
Yeah. Just at
hotel.
the start.
I haven't even paid for airfare yet.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I don't really want to get an economy ticket. I want to be able to have the option to get a business class ticket. That's $4,000 a ticket. And so you start
Yeah.
thinking, it's like, That's just some random trip, right? I need a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so that's just how I think all the time is I need a
Hmm.
lot of money. And I had a bunch of people like my mom, she was like, "Oh, this is great. You make great money. You should be so happy." And I'm like, "This is nothing. This is nothing. I'm 21 and
Hmm.
already making this. Like I like is this just going to be my life?" So it was a combination. It was one, I wanted more. I wanted to be able to achieve more. And two, I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, if I stay here and keep doing this, I'm never going to out really achieve the 21-year-old version of myself. Do I want to
Hmm.
look back in 10, 15 years and be like, I'm making the same as I was, maybe a little bit more when I was 21 and I wanted more opportunity. I wanted to take on more responsibility. I wanted a bigger challenge. I got really good at that job and it just became not fun anymore because there was no chase, there was no challenge anymore. And I
Yeah.
wanted that next hill to climb or mountain to climb, et cetera. And I just didn't want to. I think about this all the time. I think about what what am I going to think in 15 years about what I'm doing now? Am I going to be
Hmm.
happy with myself? Am I going to be proud of myself? Am I going to feel like I really tried? A lot of people, they just don't really try.
Hmm.
Like like they're like they want this, they want that, but they don't actually try. I would rather try and fail than, and I've always been underestimated and always been undermined. And so I'm used to people giving a sense of rejection towards me. And so I don't really fear failure that much.
Hmm.
I'm just like comfortable in that to an extent. So I think everyone feels failure. I'm not like, it's not like I can just sit there forever, but um, I just didn't want to look back in 10, 15 years and just feel like I just checked out and didn't chase the next thing and didn't really try my hardest.
Hmm.
I didn't want that to be my life. And also, 200,000 a year is great at 21, right? It's great, but at 54, it's like, okay, he makes okay money.
Yeah.
And
And
people
that
may
and
be
that shows a
offended by
different
that.
mindset. That shows a difference of mindset though. A lot of people, if they got 200 grand, that they think that's a lot of money no matter what.
And I
You
could
know
have
what
put
I
a
mean?
lot of money away. I could have had 10, 15, 20 million, maybe dollars by the time I was
Yeah.
60 in investments. But I don't want to have a great life at 60. I want to have a great life right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I don't see why other people can have it and I can't have it. Anything
Hmm.
someone else can achieve, I can achieve. They're no better than me. If anything, I'm better than them. I just haven't came across that kind of opportunity. And they did.
Say
No
louder
big
for the people
deal.
in the back.
Yeah. So I wanted to find different things to do, and I was checked out. I got to a point where I was checked out in that business and that company, and I had a friend that was like, I'm starting an epoxy business, and he did like this one job, and he's like, I made 9 grand, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm over here screwing around, not trying hard anymore, not taking up the next thing, not trying to improve at all. And this guy, my friend, is making 9 grand on 1, 2, 3 day epoxy job. What am I doing? I need to
Yeah.
get it together. So I start looking at different ways to make money. And then I come across Real Financial. I find out that financial services has made more millionaires than anyone. And originally I was going to just start my own construction business. It's very capital intensive. The margins are really low.
Yeah.
You're gonna be grinding and grinding and grinding and making trash money for the first 15, 20 years before you blow it up into something huge a lot of
Yeah.
times. And that's if everything goes perfectly right. There's a lot of times where you're running a construction company and you're funding all these new jobs, and then you don't get paid on these other ones because the person that was going to pay you runs out of money or gets squeezed, and now you don't have
Hmm.
your money, and now your cash flow gets squeezed, and you just can't
Yeah.
you can't. There's no one that can get you inject more money temporarily to float you till that new money pays you. So that happens all the time. Construction companies just blow up because they didn't get paid by this person, that person, and they spend all this money over here. They don't
Hmm.
have enough cash flow to pay their payroll, and then the whole company explodes. And
Yeah.
so, I was just, and again, like it's a lot of businesses work like a doctor. Like you spend all this time, you make trash money and grind and grind and grind and grind and have terrible cash flow, and all your cash flow is just going towards staying alive pretty much.
Hmm.
Like that with restaurants. 30 cents on every dollar is paying for food. The other 30 cents on every dollar is paying for labor. And then the last 10 to 20 cents is paying for maintenance, rent, all the things that
Hmm.
come with running a restaurant. And then the actual owner is stuck with 5 to 10 cents on every dollar if they're lucky,
Yeah.
if
So
everything goes right.
how did you find a real financial?
So I found it like, some people found it. I just found it off a podcast. I was just listening to a podcast and this guy was talking about, he was talking about different level of earning opportunities. And he was saying that some people are truly a high earner. They are just operating in like a level 3 earning opportunity. And I was like, man, that is so true. Like, if this company can afford to pay me 200,000 a year, what kind of result does that mean I'm creating for them?
Hmm.
That means I'm making them a ton of money. I might be making them 2 mil a year just off of what I do. And that's money that I could be making for myself.
Yeah.
If they're making it based on my result, I could make it. So he was saying if you're a high performer in one earning opportunity, if you just take those skills that you have and apply it to a new earning opportunity that is a what he would call it a level 10 earning opportunity,
Hmm.
then you can make a lot more. And financial services is a level 10 earning opportunity. And so I was like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. And so I just was listening to that. I remember I was driving from Nashville to my hometown, and I was literally about to get into St. Louis. I was on, I think I-70 or something. It doesn't matter. I just remember exactly where I was. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this financial services thing. And when I first got into business, I was just selling insurance and I hated it. Jacob, I
Yeah.
can't tell you how much I hated it. I would literally, this was my life. Okay. I got a life insurance license and I was selling insurance. I wasn't doing retirement plans or any of that. I hadn't been put on to any of those type of products yet. To my detriment, but it's okay. It doesn't matter because I stuck with it. So I'm starting to sell like life insurance, what's called simplified issue life insurance. It's like, oh, someone needs 100,000, they get approved today, and boom, they're approved, and they go about their day. And it was
Hmm.
terrible. It was absolutely terrible, Jacob. Like I would get done with work. I'd start work at 7 p.m. wherever I was, Nashville,
Hmm.
Oklahoma, Texas, doesn't matter. I'd start work at 7 a.m. I'd get done at like 5, 6, or 7 p.m. And then I would start calling. I'd start calling
Hmm.
people until 8 or 9 or 10 p.m. every single day. I mean, every single day. The only night I would take off, so I worked 10 days on, right? From those
Hmm.
10 days on working construction, the only night I would take off is a Saturday. I'd go take my team out to dinner. Any other day, I would work and call people and do 150, 200, sometimes 300 dials in an evening and literally just get cussed out on the phone. F
Yeah.
you. And these clients are like, I hated it because these people were just people I didn't want to talk to or be around at all. I
Yeah.
hate talking to broke people. I can't stand broke people. And I don't have a problem with people not having money. Broke people have a mindset that I don't like. That's what I
Hmm.
don't like. The world's out to get them. You mentioned someone talking about like a pyramid scheme. That's like
Yep.
talk broke people put in their mind. If this person makes money, he must have scammed someone. It must not be legit. There's no way he could make money. That's all a projection. It's like I wasn't capable of making money. I'm not successful because I don't really try and put in effort. And so if someone else was going to be successful, they must have scammed someone. And the reason broke people say that is because it enables them to not feel bad about being a screw up.
Yeah.
The reason you're broke is because you're a screw up. You're lazy, you don't put in effort, you do the bare minimum. And instead of taking accountability, broke people have the biggest egos of all time. Instead of taking accountability, and that's what success is. It's like a reality check to them. It's like when someone's like, if someone listens to this, they would say the only reason he made money is because his parents were well off. And they
Hmm.
just tell themselves these lies so that way they don't have to take accountability for being a screw up and feel bad.
Yeah.
And that manifests in so many different ways with a lower income mindset, and I can't stand it. It's not the right time. Like nothing, it's never the right time to do anything. It's never the right time to contribute to retirement plans. I don't even have any retirement plans. I don't want to get life insurance, even though I need to get it and I need to take care of my family, but I can barely do that. I can barely take care of myself. They play games. Broke people play games all the time. They don't show up to appointments. They are on
Hmm.
a they just can't be responsible in any shape or form. They show up late. They slow drag. They complain. The world's out to get them. The government screwed them. And all it is just not taking accountability. And I cannot stand that. It just you when you're around people, I mean, it just reeks off people. Like it
Hmm.
just hear it and everything that they talk about. It's just disgusting. I hate it. I can't stand it. And that's who I was talking to all the time. I was talking to broke people. I was talking to people that were homeowners that had no business being homeowners. And what I mean
Hmm.
by that is like they only got like 300-400 extra a month, and they don't even have retirement plans, and they got this ridiculous $400,000 mortgage or whatever. I just
Yeah.
cannot stand talking to lower income people and having those conversations. But I just kept doing it. I just kept doing it, kept showing up. I'm like, this must be the play. This is how people make a lot of money. And then um, had a bunch of challenges with that. It's also hard to build a business off a bunch of broke people because, you're setting up a life insurance plan for them and they can't even take care of themselves, right? So when push comes to
Hmm.
shoves, what are they going to do? Take care of themselves, which they can barely do, or keep that insurance plan, which is a selfless product and service. It's only for someone else, right? They're not using the money. Someone else is using the money. So, and that's the other thing. Broke people are extremely selfish. It's all about them. Them. So they don't think about anybody but themselves. So I mean, they just cancel, right? When you're building a business, when
Yeah.
30-40% of your business is canceling and you can't stand talking to them anyway, it's like, what are we doing here? This is terrible. I don't like this at all. So then I got put onto retirement plans, actual financial services, and I loved that. And that's all I do now. Rollovers,
Yep.
401ks, IRAs, and then insurance for those people that are actually good people to talk to and be around.
Hmm.
And they're amazing to work with. They don't play games. You got these people that will talk to you about life insurance and they're like, well, why do you need my social security number? And it's like, dude, like, I just want to end the call. I don't even care about the sale anymore. And I just want to tell you how retarded you are.
Yeah.
The life insurance plan is only going to pay out to one person. How are we going to know if it's the right John Doe? Your social security number, idiot.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, why do we need bank account information? To buy the shit. Why do you think we need it? You idiot. Do you just apply for stuff you don't want? You just want
A
to feel
lot of people
good. You
do.
just want to feel good about yourself about getting approved because your whole life's a train wreck because you're a screw up.
Yes.
Like, I just can't stand people that play those games. It's like, dude, go play those games somewhere else. You know, go somewhere else. I don't want to talk to you at all. I just can't stand
Yeah.
it at all. So you don't have any of those games with retirement plans. Like people are ready to buy. They're serious. They just expect more from you. You
Yeah.
can't show up as a slouch. You got to show up with a great background. You got to show
Yeah.
well dressed. You got to have good vernacular. You got to be able to present well, put a great plan together. And I like that. It's more challenging. It's so easy for someone to be like, "Oh, I need $25,000 in life insurance," and then you just slave away, put the little quote together, and you say, "Which company do you want?" That's the most like order taker sale of all time. I don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
also, I can't stand the other people that are in that kind of insurance.
Yeah.
They dress like I don't know. I just don't like the way they dress. They all wear athletic clothing. That's all they wear. It's
Yeah.
annoying. I don't like that. Athletic clothes are meant to be worn at the gym, not worn as the only thing you have at all times. I don't know. That's a whole different story, right? But I just don't like being around those people. Those people aren't serious, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just don't like that kind of business model. So I just got into retirement plans, and I just like that a ton more.
Hmm.
And they're different business models. It's harder. It's way easy to take some, you know, uh, non-intelligent 20-year-old and be like, hey, here's this script. Go call these leads that are going to cuss you out and try
Hmm.
to sell them life insurance and just say whatever you can to get them to buy life insurance. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like that guy, that 19-year-old goes somewhere else. Like, I only want to work with actual professionals. So it's
Yeah.
harder to find those people, but I don't care. Like, I find them, I work with them, and I'm just, you got to think about it. Like, I'm just trying to find more me's.
Yeah.
I was a
Duplication.
professional. I had a good career. I was already successful. And
Yeah.
that's who I try to find to work with. You're already successful. You already have a career. I'll show you how to make a lot more money with who you are as a person. Who
Hmm.
you are right now is worth a lot more, and I'm going to show you how to get it.
I love that.
So, through financial services, through setting up plans. Look, people are going to use retirement plans with or without you,
Yeah.
but they should use them with you because financial services is one of the laziest businesses ever. Here's a great example. You want to hear an amazing story?
Of
So I got a
course.
guy on my team, Steve, just started working with him. And he was running an appointment. He lives in Texas. He was going into this other city and he had to run a Zoom appointment in this other city. And so he had a friend who's a GM of a BMW dealership.
Hmm.
And he was just talking to me casually on the phone. He's like, oh, I'm going to go ask if I can run the appointment there. And I said, dude, you should tell him about what you do, retirement plans, et cetera. And he goes, that's a good idea. I should. And so, because again, if people don't know about what you do, they would never think to use your
Yep.
products or services, right? So he goes there and presents like what we do, what we set up. And
Hmm.
the guy's like, oh yeah, like let's have some further conversation. And so he goes through like a financial inventory with this guy, and he's going to be setting up some plans, right? Or presenting some plans to him. And this is a pretty big case. I mean, this guy's wanting to put 10, 15,000, 15, 20,000 a month away. It's a good amount of money.
That's
10, 15, 20
yeah.
grand away
That's
every single month, right? Into investments. That's a pretty good plan. And he said, I just kicked some New York Life guy,
hmm.
some advisor. I just kicked this guy out who was wanting to set up retirement plans for him or something.
Hmm.
And he kicked him out because a couple weeks back, this New York Life advisor went and was like, hey, Patrick, I want to come talk to you and your dealership and your team. Let's
Hmm.
set a date. He sets a date. The New York Life guy reschedules. Another week goes by. He's like, hey, Patrick, let's do this day. He's like, okay. Reschedules. Then he schedules again, a third time now. And he just ghosts the appointment. Ghosts the appointment. He was supposed to be there at like 11 a.m. Just doesn't show up. No call, no text, nothing. And then he calls up Patrick and says, hey, man, I got caught up with, BS excuse, right? And I guess he doesn't call him. He went into the dealership and said, hey, like 2 hours later, said, hey, I got caught up with this, et cetera. Sorry, I wasn't able to, whatever. And the guy's like, I think you need to get out of here.
Yeah.
That's your competition. If financial services is just like any other business. The other business I used to work in, there's losers at that company. And I always
Hmm.
outperformed all those people. It's just like that in financial services, except when you perform well, you make 60, 70, $80,000 a month, $40,000 a month. And it takes some time, right? Because you got to get good at
Yeah.
it. You're going to have to
Yep.
get good at anything anyway. I
Absolutely.
sucked at this business when I first got in it, and I just kept showing up. And if you can just disengage from what's currently happening in your current, anyway,
Hmm.
before I get into this next point, Steve, I want to back up because this is a great story. I'm
Yeah.
jumping all over the place, but Steve goes and he presents this deal to Patrick. This deal is going to pay out $30,000 to Steve. One deal, all because he just showed up. He just showed up.
Just by
Showed up,
chance.
just told someone about what he did. There was interest, there was an opportunity, took up the opportunity, and now he's going to go do business with all the other people in that dealership too. Set up
Yeah.
retirement plans for all those people too.
I,
So that kid, just because he couldn't show up, I don't even know if he's a kid, he's probably 30, 40. Um, just because he couldn't show up, he just cost himself big time
yeah.
because he's lazy, couldn't show up, couldn't take accountability personally, right?
Yeah.
Missed out on the opportunity. It's like that in all businesses. You got losers, you got people that aren't serious, and you got people that are winners. And so Steve, if he was a winner at some other business, they'd be paying him 10, 15,000 a month. And
Yeah.
now he just did 30 grand on one deal. And he's only been in this business less than 2 months. $30,000 on one deal. So amazing story. Um, but yeah, people can just get around the hot like the lows that they're experiencing early on in the business and that they can just stay the course, they'll make great money. And I got a
Yeah.
great example of this. So when I first got in this business and started making a little bit of money, again, I brought on a bunch of my friends. Hey guys,
Hmm.
I brought this construction opportunity. You guys made some money there. I'm doing this other thing. I'm making some money here. You guys should hop on board, right? It's a good opportunity. So I bring on, I don't know, like 4, 5, 6 of my buddies. And, it's crazy. Like there's this one guy, I made him $20,000 in like the matter of like 4 weeks. I made him $20,000. And then he just like quit. He just like was like, oh, I'm done. Like that would blow my mind. If someone
I
made
don't
me
get that
20
one.
grand, someone made me 20 grand, I'd be trying to figure out how can I just like do what they do and make all the money.
Yeah.
He was only getting half the money and he made 20 grand, right? Or half the deals. And then I had some other a lot of some of them just like they couldn't just like be disciplined enough to like learn the information
Hmm.
and get good at speaking the language of the business.
Hmm.
The language of the business, being able to understand certain concepts, how time affects people's money, people's wealth accumulation, sequence of returns risk, how much protection we need versus how much upside potential we need depending on our age. Like they just don't understand certain concepts, loans versus withdrawals. These accounts have these tax principles with them. This is how these accounts are taxed. This is how these accounts are taxed. This is what happens to these accounts as they get closer to retirement. This is what people have to do to protect and actually safely withdraw from these type of accounts. And how does that all blend together to create a good plan for someone? And then how do we then communicate that? They can't just get disciplined enough to get good at that. They can't just sit down and memorize and learn what they need to do. And so a lot of those people ended up, I had a couple that were doing okay. I remember one, he went full time. His like first deal full time was like a 70,000 target deal. So he was gonna make like $50,000 from this case, you know? And then a year later, I remember all those people quit. Like it was kind of sudden. Like I had like 3 or 4 of like the better guys, they just like quit.
Hmm.
So I'm sitting here looking at my business and I'm like, man, it's still like just like me. Like I'm making
Yeah.
money, I'm producing, but like these guys like just aren't doing it, like doing anything. Like, is this going to work? Am I going to actually be able to build a team? Like this is kind of a low point in my business. And I just stay the course, I just keep staying the course and keep showing up, keep trying to help people and show people what works for me.
No, I
And
love
then
that. And
like,
that's why you're one of the top guys though. Like
and then
that's you just stay with it all the time.
turn around to like this month, the team is probably going to do like 300,000 in production.
Yeah.
And it was only like a year ago, it probably would have done like zero, besides me, right? I was like
Yeah.
the only driver. And, when you get to the point where you're making good money, it's like, well, how am I going to pick up leverage? How am I going to
Hmm.
scale this business? You can only scale with people. You got to bring in more advisors. Okay. You brought up Like some people will be like, well, like, why do you recruit? Like, that sounds like a pyramid. It's like, bro, every business is a pyramid. You brought this up. Like someone brought it up like it was a pyramid. I'm like, bro, this
Yep.
is the dumbest comment everybody always makes. Like they don't understand how retarded they sound when they say stuff like that.
Because every
Every
job is like
business is a
that.
pyramid. You got the
Yeah.
owner at the top,
Yep.
and you got some middle tier managers at the bottom. And then the person that's talking about how this is a pyramid scheme is always that bitch at the bottom of someone
Yep.
else's pyramid. And so this opportunity, I would say, dude, this opportunity is an opportunity for you to build your own pyramid. So you can decide, like, you can keep
Yep.
talking shit, but you can stay the bitch in someone else's pyramid, or you can level up and get your own pyramid. So you decide whatever you
Exactly.
want to do. Okay. But, the rest of us who all have our own businesses are just laughing at you. And again, that's another piece of dialogue that broke people say all the time. They always say that everything's a scam. No one makes actual legitimate money. And it's all just them. They don't take accountability. They won't take accountability how big of a screw up they are, how lazy they are,
Hmm.
how underperforming they are. They just they just coast through life. And it's ridiculous. Like you're only gonna live once. So like, why do you want to live it as just a lower income screw up?
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all. Like, why don't you just figure it out? Why don't you just lock it in just for a little bit? Get some money.
Yeah.
Money is options. So and you'll have people say, well, it's not all about money. It's like, okay, man, well, when you're 60 and all your friends are going on great trips in retirement, and you're still broke and you're still working, we'll see if it's not all about money.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
So kind of on that though, let's talk about why you would tell people, whether it's as a client or as coming on as a business partner, what makes Real Financial different from every other company in this financial services space, in your opinion?
well, here's the big thing for clients. Okay. So when you go talk to like your everyday Wells Fargo advisor, they're gonna like manage some assets for you, but their strategies to protect your money and still get it good returns are not that effective because a main sole focus like financial advisor, their entire business model only operates on assets under management. And so the only way they make money is by managing your money and charging it 1% or 1.5% or 0.75 basis points or whatever every
Hmm.
single year. That's how they monetize their business. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But a amazing strategy to protect your money and still get great returns is an indexed IRA. And what that requires is the financial advisor not managing that money. And, I'm sure that raised a lot of questions. Well, why can't they manage it? Why can't I'm not going to get into all those details. I can like with if someone who actually wants to know or is actually interested in that. But, if a financial advisor is trying to protect someone's money, they're going to put it in bonds. They're going to put it in US treasuries. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that capital is only going to make 3, 4% a year.
Yeah.
And so if you got 60% of your accounts only making 3 or 4% a year, again, it comes back to like, how much are you going to be able to draw? Because that's what matters. How much you're going to be able to draw or what kind of legacy you're going to be able to leave behind. And the more money you have, the more protection you have in retirement. What's everybody's biggest fear in retirement? Running out of money. So, I mean,
Mhm.
there's no great reason for why we shouldn't have better accumulation, right? We just need protection, protected good accumulation. So you got your people that are like, well, I don't need to draw a lot of money. Cool. But more money, more protection. And
Hmm.
they would agree with that. Okay. Would you feel better and more comfortable if instead of a million, it said 4 million? If they say, oh, it doesn't really matter, they're a freaking liar. They're an absolute liar. In the call, they're playing games,
Yeah. Get
right?
out of here.
So, and then for other people, they want to be able to draw more income. And so if they have a pot of $2 million and it's only making 5% a year, it's only making 5% a year. If they draw 8% a year, they're going to run out of money
Yeah.
because that's bigger than what they're making. So they can't draw 8% a year consistently for in perpetuity. They can only draw 4% or 3% a year in perpetuity. Do the math. 4% on 2 million is 80 grand a year. A lot of times, someone that's able to accumulate 2 mil was making 150, maybe 200K a year. So you think that's going to cut it for them?
Probably not, I would think.
So it doesn't. And I mean, who wants to work their entire life to get to retirement and live a lesser lifestyle? Doesn't sound
It's
fun at
not
all.
it's not the point of retirement.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to go backwards in retirement. Everybody wants to have that ability to do what they wanted to do when they were younger.
And a lot of financial advisors completely cope clients all the time. They're like, well, you'll have your house paid off, you'll have your assets paid off. So, you'll basically have the same amount of money because you won't have to pay for that stuff anymore. It's like, no, you're constantly buying new cars. You're gonna get to
Mm.
retirement at 60 and keep the same truck for 30 years. Meanwhile, the past 20 years, you haven't had a car longer than 4 years.
Yeah.
You're gonna suddenly switch that habit. No. So you have this house right now, you're gonna stay in there for the next 30 years. You never want to move, right? You don't want anything more, anything less, right? What you don't want to, okay, downsize that house and get a smaller house and then go buy another house somewhere else, somewhere nicer, warmer, etc. So, my point is, I'll circle back to like what makes real financial specifically important for clients is we can do all those different things. And so, I we can manage your assets and take care of that piece, and then also incorporate these index IRAs. And so instead of that protected capital only making you 4% a year, we'll show you how to make it 8% a year. Protected. The money's all protected. If the market tanks tomorrow, you're not going to feel that at all.
Hmm.
And so what does that mean? Instead of drawing 4% a year, you're now able to draw 7% a year. And so a lot of people will say, well, like a financial advisor's like workaround for that is, well, we have like 60, 70% of the money in fixed income assets and it's making 4 or 5% a year. But we'll be able to overcome that lack of performance with these other equity investments that are much more volatile and have much more upside. And this will offset the lack of performance here because we'll be making so much from this other pile. I got
Hmm.
1.5 million, I got 3 million in equities, and the other 1.2 million is protected in some capacity. Right. It might be shuffled a little bit. Someone may have 800 grand in fixed income and then another 300 grand in less volatile equities, like dividend paying stocks are a little bit less volatile. And then the rest are in your
Hmm.
NVIDIAs and Metas, et cetera. Anyway, the point is that now you're putting a lot of pressure on these equities because if they don't, again, sequence of returns risk comes into play here now. Anyway,
Hmm.
I don't have time to get into all of that on this call, but the point is that we can take that 800 grand and then protect it. It has the same amount of level of protection, but instead of making 4% a year, it's going to be making like 8% a year. So you can look at that one of two ways. Again, you're protecting your money, still building more account value. More account value is more protection, or it means you can draw more in retirement. I could take $2 million and instead of making 5 and drawing 4, they can make 9 and draw 8, or make 9 and draw 7. That is a lot of money. That's the difference between drawing 80 grand a year and drawing 160 grand a year. And the reason
Big
a
difference.
financial advisor wouldn't make that recommendation is solely because it's not monetizable for their business model. So they're not going to recommend it to you. So that's huge. Long-term care is huge as well. Financial advisors do not advise people to get long-term care because they do not touch insurance at all. The number one cause of bankruptcy for retirees is in-home care and assisted living. The cheapest way, not the cheapest way, the most cost-effective way to pay for that is a long-term care plan. There's no good reason we shouldn't do a long-term care plan.
Hmm.
Okay, because I'll have people, you have to pay for a long-term care plan. You got to pay $1,000 a month. And then if you require assisted living, well, then you're going to get 10, 15 G's a month, every single month. And you're taken care of. And instead of having to pull that from your investments, remember, what's the purpose of the investments? To pay for your lifestyle and retirement. And if your lifestyle and retirement is 8,000 a month, and all of a sudden it goes from 8,000 a month to 18,000 a month, or it goes from 8,000 a month to 23,000 a month, that changes the whole game.
Hmm.
And that's a very foolish way to pay for in-home care assisted living costs. Because this is people's number one objection to LTC is, well, I already have like $4 million in my IRA. Why would I do that? I'm covered. Okay, well, you're just going to spend more money for the same service. You know, that's like someone instead of buying the car for 30 grand, they just decide to pay 45 grand because like, who cares? I'll just spend more money on it. That doesn't make any sense at all. They don't realize how stupid that sounds. The reason it's going to cost them a lot more money is because that IRA is tax deferred.
Yep.
So when they start pulling 10,000 a month, they're like, they don't just have 10,000 a month, they have 10,000 minus taxes.
Yeah.
And so now they got to pull 13,000 or 14,000 a month just to get their 10. And then that's all going as reported income tax. So now they have a higher tax bracket. They moved from a 22 to a 35. So now they're paying 10+% taxes on all their other income. That income that they were going to use for LTC, they got to pay more tax on that. The income they're using for their standard living, they got to pay more tax on that. So they got to draw even more money. Now they're going to increase the reported income. And over the next 2 years, what's going to come around the corner? IRMA is going to kick in, and they're going to have increased Medicare costs. They're going to have to pay more premiums into Medicare because they're reporting substantially more income. So it's going to cost them a ton of money. So, you know, when someone says, well, I already have all this money over here, it's like they're basically saying, yeah, I'm just going to pay for the same service. I'm going to pay for long-term care, except instead of using, instead of getting money tax-free, I'm just going to pay like double the amount for the same service. So it's like it's fine. Like people don't understand the consequences, and I don't expect them to because they're not a financial professional, which is why you talk to someone like that, right? But they're just paying so much, and it doesn't make any sense at all, and it doesn't fit with their habits at all. The only reason they're in the position they're in, the only reason they're in a good position is because they have good money principles. A good money principle isn't paying double for the same price or for the same service or product. You know, it doesn't make any sense. If one TV is $2,000 and the exact same TV is $4,000, they would never go spend $4,000 for the same TV. That's what is happening when they don't use an LTC plan. So I'm getting in the weeds, right? But a financial advisor isn't even going to bring it up at all. Again, because it's not their business model, but it's a big part of wealth planning and financial planning. Why? Because if we're using all of our retirement to pay for in-home care and assisted living costs at 10, 15, 20 G's a month, where's our retirement going to go? You're going to go through it real quick.
Yeah.
All because of what I just talked about, right? So you start ripping through all that money, and now Jane's left with nothing. John passes away. Jane's got nothing. Sell the home, move in with the kids. Kids don't like it. She doesn't like it. It's a whole financial catastrophe. And that's like best case scenario. Worst case scenario, people literally purposely go broke so that way the government can step in. Unless you're flat out broke, the government is not stepping in. And the nursing home's just going to rip all your assets, put liens on all your accounts. You're cooked. So anyway, financial advisors don't most financial advisors at like big firms, Wells Fargo, Chase, et cetera, they don't even talk about that at all. They don't do any insurance at all. So you're missing that really important component between the protected assets growing at higher returns and the long-term care. Those are huge things you're missing out on big time. and that's the biggest reason I think someone should talk to us at Real Financial, because we can do all the same services as a financial advisor and some of these other ones too, which are
Hmm.
really important, especially as people get closer to retirement or are near term or already in retirement. Those are hugely important. Then for business partners, why someone should choose Real Financial? Well, if someone's asking why should they choose to work with me, I would always say like, because I think I'm an amazing person to work with. I'm exactly who I would want to work with. I want to work with someone who is extremely involved in this business. You could go work with someone who's making $2, $3 million a year and they're already like checked out. You text them, they're like, I'm already got all this money. I won't meet with you except for this 1 or 2 times a week, and I
Hmm.
may not even show up. I may be on vacation somewhere. That's like you could go work with someone who was a high performer. Now they're not
Hmm.
anymore, right? You need support and you don't have it. If you work with someone who doesn't know what they're doing, that's a whole separate problem. I know exactly what I'm doing. I have an amazing system. I can help people make money doing the same thing that I do, the exact same thing. And I'm extremely accountable. I never ask people to do anything I won't do. When was I at this appointment with you?
Early.
9, or I was, no, it started at 9. I was here at like 8:52 or 8:50.
Yep.
I am punctual. I'm on time. I would never expect anybody to be on time if I wasn't on time.
Yeah. And you're early to
Everything,
everything.
everything. I'm
I'll
always
vouch for that.
prepared.
You're
I
always one of the
never
first people in
reschedule.
every meeting. Always.
I never reschedule. I
Yeah.
run weekly training calls. I never miss my weekly training calls. I
Yep.
never miss them. Other leaders, they'll reschedule them last minute. They'll cancel last. I never do that. I would never do that to someone. I
Yeah.
always show up to all my appointments at all times. If you text me, I'm going to respond to you. I'm going to respond to you. I'm going to get you everything you need. And I'm extremely supportive and I'm
Yep.
locked in. You're not going to find someone more locked in easily than me. And
It's
so
hard to
that's who I
argue
want
with
to work
that.
with. And I make good, great money in this business. Who wants to work with someone who doesn't make money? I don't want to
Yeah.
work with someone who doesn't want to make money. I want to work with someone who's constantly on the leaderboard, making a lot of money, who's walking the talk.
Hmm.
And that's what I do. And so that's who I would want to work with. And so if you want to work with someone like that, that's why I think Real Financial is a great place, because I think all the agencies, all the financial institutions, they're all great. They all have amazing people at them that are making a lot of money. It's just, do you know them? Are they accessible? Will they even work with you? And I'll work with you. If it, but you got to do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
You are entering my world, our world, and you don't know what you're doing. You need to listen to what I tell you to do. What I tell you to do is exactly what I do, and it makes me money. If it makes me money, it'll make you money. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing at all that's special about me. I just show up and I'm disciplined. Even though I don't always want to be. There's times I have an appointment at like literally 6 a.m. my time or 7 a.m. and I have to be in a suit right here, ready to
Hmm.
go. I don't really feel like doing it. I still show up because I'm accountable to the team. How can I expect them to show up if I don't show up? How can I expect them to make money if I don't make money? How can I expect them to be a good producer if I'm not a good producer? How can I expect to retain solid people if my back office doesn't run well? Everything
Hmm.
has to be perfect. And so that's why I think it would be great for someone to work at Real Financial, is because you're joining a group of people that are winners and that are accountable. And so if you can be accountable, you'll do well. If you can't take accountability, we're going to eat you alive, because you're going to feel so incredibly uncomfortable,
Yeah.
because I'll be on your ass. You can be on mine,
True.
but you're not going to find any issues.
I
No, I mean, like, you
love
have
it. I
days.
just love the way that's phrased. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have days you're not as maybe locked in, but I'm pretty locked in all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. You'll never hear me saying, "Oh, I wasn't able to meet our call because, something came up." You texted me like, "Hey, are we still good for
Yep.
today?" I'm like, "Dude, of course. Are you kidding me?"
Yep.
Like, I don't, there's no good reason to book something related to your business and not show up. I don't care
Yeah.
what's going on. I'll reschedule everything else in the rest of my life around what I have going on in business.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily expect that from people on my team. They don't have to do that. But monkey see, monkey do, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm doing it, chances are they'll do it as well.
No, 100%. No, I love that. And that's a pretty consistent worded differently from everybody, but pretty consistent just how differently we are than, other places, just the accessibility to leaders at all times. The big one I always get was the training that we give. We're all doing the same thing. Like everybody is taught the same thing. So whether it works or not is on you. Like you just said, like it's all about you. Just do what we do.
Yeah, people always say like, well, how much money does your average person make? They don't realize how stupid of a question that is. You just want to
Yeah.
be some average person here.
Yeah.
You just want to be
Exactly.
some random fly-by average person here. That's ridiculous. Why do you
Yeah.
talk like that? That's your biggest problem is you just want to hopefully do the minimum.
Yeah.
I can just hear it. That's like, again, that's a low income mindset. I just want to kind of get by. That's what that is projecting. I just want to kind of get by. If I could just make a little bit, I guess here, I'll just kind of check it out. People that kind of just look into things never get anywhere. You got to commit.
Yeah.
If you don't commit, you're cooked. You're not going to make any money. You have to commit.
100%.
But, to your point, um, there's what I was saying is like there's great people at a bunch of different organizations.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this call right now, do you know them? Can you reach out to them right now? You can. You're sitting here, you're looking at
Listening to
them,
us.
but you don't know any of those other people.
Yeah.
So what are you waiting for? Right? There's no better
Mhm.
time than right now. Time is your most important ally. It's not money. It's not money. Time is the most important thing that you have. And people waste so much time.
Yeah.
You don't need money. We can get money. If you don't have money, but you want to make money, just use your time well.
Yeah.
You don't need money. Like it's crazy. Like, you used to have to pay for so much information and learning. It's all free now. It's all over the internet. But I think the most important thing is working with other people that are on the same path. And that was really hard for me, man. When I first got into this business, I was working with a bunch of losers, man. A bunch of losers. And I had to really muscle to just get more people like me
Hmm.
or find more people like me. And again, it starts with you. So, like, if I'm not great, I won't find other great people. But if you're already great, if you're already making good money, if you're listening to this, like, you can do a lot more for yourself, inside this business. You're not working for me. We're just business partners,
We work
just
together.
on the same path. I just happen to be farther along the road than you. And so I can just sit there and say, hey, there's a pothole at mile marker 220. You should watch out for that. That's
Evan
all that's
said,
happening.
Evan said almost verbatim the exact same thing. And I
Yeah.
think Brad said the same thing, worded differently, but they both, and you guys are three of the top guys. You guys have all now said that. Three of the
Yeah.
top leaders have all said the same thing about that.
So, and I think like everybody should work for themselves in some capacity, like because you have the most amount of control and freedom. And I'll give you a good story of when I realized I needed this. So I was working for this construction company, right? We get done with this development. Our COO comes up. He's a total loser. Hated him. And our COO comes up and he's like, he's the owner's son. So typical, screw up, degenerate, just
Yeah.
total problem, you know. Um, and he comes up and he's like, "You guys did a good job with this development, etc." Talking us up, right? And then he just cuts our legs off and he's like, "Hey, by the way, this was during COVID, right?" He's like, "By the way, all of you all need to get the COVID vaccine and show proof in 2 weeks, or else you don't work here anymore." So plainly, right? So simple. And I'm just like, okay, we're out then. We're all out. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but like, I'm out. I don't need this. If you're going to pay me 200 grand a year, I can go find some other company that'll do that too. It's me that's worth the 200 grand a year. It's not like I suddenly hit the lottery. Like I can go get that somewhere else. It may
Yeah.
take me time. I might not make as much money for a period of time, but I don't care. You're not going to tell me that I have to do that. Like that, like I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And um it was just unnecessary. I hadn't got COVID. None of us had gotten COVID. It was unnecessary to try to force us to do that. I don't know anything about that vaccine. Like it just seemed like a money grab, and people were having side effects. Young kids, athletes were dropping dead. I'm not putting a time bomb in my body for this job. No way. I'm out. And so, but what it told me was how worthless I was to that company and how they could literally just turn my income off in a flash, all because I wouldn't like do something that, it's not like they said, hey, we need you to go work here um for 5 nights or something. Like like we need you to take action on this. Like it had no logical reason. There was no like job sites weren't getting shut down because people had COVID. That wasn't happening at all. COVID had no effect besides distribution because it was harder to
Hmm.
get materials, right?
Yeah.
Supply chain issue. Other
Yep.
than that, it had no actual effect on our job sites at all. So I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. And so our entire department, all the construction workers just said, yeah, we're not getting that. And so then they all, I mean, at the end of the day, money's the only thing that matters, right? So they're like, okay, well, you guys don't have to get it. And that's when I decided, like, dude, I'm never letting this happen again.
Hmm.
Like, screw all these people. I'm not going to be treated like trash. Like, I'm an actual person. That's the other thing. In corporate world, they just treat you like a number. You mean absolutely nothing to them. Doesn't matter how much investment you put in. And it's so crazy. Like, for whatever reason, in corporate world and like companies, no one stands for anything. If
Hmm.
if if they said, "Hey, you don't have to get the vaccine, but all your people have to get the vaccine," I would say I'm out then. I'm not going to force these people. I'm not going to force these
Hmm.
human beings to do that. That's not going to make any sense at all. Well, you have to. Well, too bad. I'm not going to. You guys can fire me and go find someone else. I refuse to do that. And that is like missing. I don't know where that went in society, but people will just do, I would just say, like, in my opinion, like morally wrong things for what, a paycheck? Like you have to live with that with yourself.
Hmm.
I don't want to live with that. So anyway, I just knew that like this company was just not having my back. They're going to either put me in a position where they ask me to do something that I don't think is right. And I'm going to tell them no. And then they're going to fire me. And then I'm going to be out of income or I'm going to leave on my terms.
Hmm.
And so I went and it's so funny. All those, when I skipped out on college, all those losers that went to college were all talking about how stupid I was for not going to college. Meanwhile, I'm 21 and I make more money than all of them. They're just getting out of college at 22 and talking about how they're not making that much money. They're just getting started with their career. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, you guys made jokes about me not going to college and you guys are all losers. You guys spend all that money. College is like the biggest just coping mechanism ever. People don't want to take accountability and actually take ownership of their life and go out there and work and take and be responsible for taking care of themselves. They just want mom and dad to take care of them another 4 years. They're not doing anything in college besides jerking off and going to parties and drinking alcohol. That's all they do in college anyway. And they're not learning anything. They're just screwing around and they don't want to take accountability. Like if you go to college, you're basically telling the world. I get why no employers want to hire people with college degrees anymore because you're basically just projecting the world that you can't take accountability and you want to screw around and goof off and you don't want to take your life seriously and you're afraid to take ownership of it. That's what you're just telling everyone. So I mean, all those people made jokes about me not going to college, and those same type of people. Now I'm working, and I make more money than all those people, and I'm more successful than them. And now they work in the same company I'm at. Not literally the same people, right? The same type of people. People that went to
Hmm.
college, the people that all picked the safe route. The people that are operating their little zoos and they never branch off. They just do what's
Hmm.
safe, low risk. What they just follow the pack, what everyone else is doing. I don't know if you noticed, most people don't make good money, so you can't do the same things as them. But these
Yeah.
people want to just follow the pack, and anybody else that's not falling in line, they just make fun of them. Oh, you can't start that business. That business is not going to work. Are you insane? Like, you already make good money. You're going to regret leaving this job. You're not going to be able to make money like this over there. Like, people would just talk like that, like, oh, he's getting into financial services. That's like a scam. It's like, again, more broke talk. And then it's so funny. It's so funny because, I've been gone from that company now for 4 years and having immense success here in financial services working for myself. And I've set up some retirement plans for some of the people that still work at that company. And the income, the opportunity that I took up when I got there, it's all gone. They're not paying people 200 grand a year anymore. They're not doing unlimited overtime anymore.
Hmm.
They're lay, in construction, it's somewhat common to get laid off for a period of time and have a lapse of work. We never got laid off. We always had work all the time. Now people are getting laid off for 2, 3 months, not getting paid. And so all those people that thought it was crazy for me to leave, just what I said I was worried about, income just being turned off, none of those people are getting mileage anymore. If I stayed at that company and followed all those other losers' advice, I would not be making what I was making there at that time. I would be making half, if not
Hmm.
less. I might be traveling for work and only making $75,000 a year. And
Not
those people
sustainable.
are so stupid. That noose has slowly been tightening and tightening and tightening and tightening, and they don't even realize they're about choked out.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it. And so that is what happens in a lot of environments. So like, you want control over all that. I control my income. I have complete control. If I don't want to do this call right now, I can turn this off right now. I can do whatever
Absolutely.
I want at any times, at any time, and no one can tell me what to do. And the other thing is, no one that has no business giving out orders can tell you what to do. Anybody ever worked for someone? Any of you guys listening ever worked for someone that you thought was a complete screw up and you just didn't respect them? You don't even know how they got the job. They basically got the job because they were good at being best friends with this other guy, and they're not really. They have no real merits behind
Hmm.
getting that promotion. They screw off, but they expect everything from you and nothing from themselves. I don't want to take orders from someone like that.
Yeah, I
So
can't. I think everybody's had that boss.
yeah,
Like, I know I've had my fair share.
yeah. I was actually pretty blessed. Like, I had some pretty good bosses, but I had some of those bosses that were just like, they had no soul almost. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. Just gonna like, um, we're gonna ask people to do stuff that compromises their character, and if they don't do it, we're just gonna fire them.
Yeah.
It's hard to like put that into perspective, like what that actually is, like how that manifests into an actual situation. But there's things that you ask people to do that make sense, and there's other things that are just not right. Like, it's just like, I just want to run a business where we do the right thing.
Yeah.
Where we just do the right thing for the client, and we do the right thing for our employees. Like, my assistant, she gets a ton of time off. She could text and say, "Hey, I'm not working Tuesday." Totally fine. It doesn't work like that in a corporate world because you're just a number
Hmm.
and you mean nothing. Well, we got to get that approved. You can't just take it off. And a lot of times in corporate world, like, you get missed out on opportunities because you don't go completely above and beyond. And actually, it's really not fair a lot of times to an extent. So I worked in an hourly environment. Okay. So if I worked more hours, it meant more. But someone
Hmm.
whose salary, imagine we got two salary employees, both have the same job, both going for the same promotion. And this one salary employee, like their responsibility is to work 50 hours a week. They work 50 hours a week, they do a good job, and they execute. And that is what is required of them. And that's what they execute on. If this other employee works 70 hours a week, they'll get that promotion. And it's really just not, it creates an unfair expectation because now if this person wants the promotion, they have to work more. And if they work more than their 50 hours, it means their actual hours and their time is worth less because they're only going to get paid a certain amount, right?
Hmm.
That happens in the corporate world all the time where it's like now I'm just like doing way more than what's required of me and I'm making nothing more. And people say, well, the promotion is the pay raise or whatever. A lot of times the pay raises are trash. My sister, she's like, oh, I'm going to get a pay raise. I'm like, what's a pay raise? She's like, oh, it's going to be really high. It's going to be like 3% more. I'm like, what the, what 3%? Like, that's only like $4,000 extra a year. That's like me taking the guys out to dinner in Vegas. Like, what is that? That's
Yeah.
nothing. What are you going to do with that? You can't get ahead with just extra $4,000 a year. I'm like, and I just don't, I want to do the right thing for the people that we can all make plenty of money. I can run a business where I make a ton of money, our clients win, and our employees win big too. She can get my assistant, she can get 3 weeks PTO. Totally fine. She can just take it whenever she wants. If she, and I don't even care. I said this to Brad the other day. I said, dude, if I found out that she was only working 30 hours a week, I wouldn't care at all. Because as long as she executes, that's all that matters. She does her
Yeah.
job and she's effective and things get done in a timely manner. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how short it takes. I don't care about that at all. You shouldn't be penalized for being more efficient. It's like, oh, well, she can get the job done in like 30 hours now, so we're just going to pay her less. That's what companies do.
Hmm.
We're not doing that. That's just not right. That's not
Yeah.
right. And
That's not
at
what
some
we do
point,
here.
some companies get so big that they just don't care about turnover anymore as much. And they just turn over great employees, great assets. So that's why you should work for yourself. Or I guess find someone that thinks like me. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's who I would want to work with, right?
It's being around like-minded people.
Yeah.
That's the big one that I've learned. You know, being within this company is a lot of people have the same thought process. Different variations of it, but at the end of the day, the core of it is all the same. So I think that's a valuable part of it. And like you said, like we aren't technically on the same team per se. Like I got brought in by Derek, who works with Evan closely, but I called you last Friday? I was like, hey, you want to come on and do this? And you were like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. Because we're all working together at the end of the day, pushing that needle forward as a company, because then we all win.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. I'll see other companies where it's like they have all these sub companies. It's like, well, this is the
Yeah,
Chris Holt team, and I'm only going to help people on the Chris Holt team.
yeah,
Like that's dude, we're all with Real Financial.
exactly.
You'll see other people like it's like they'll create their own like financial company within a financial company. And it's like, dude, you're on Real Financial. What are you doing?
Yeah,
You know. Um, so if you want to go actually start your own organization, well, then go do it somewhere else.
yeah,
But if you're on this team, you're here with Real Financial.
100%.
So yeah,
100%. That's how, like, with the logo that I use for this. Like, I just changed it from Real Financial. I need to do a better job in the intro of saying partnered with, like working with.
yeah,
But I made sure to leave all the Real Financial logo, and I try to get it into everything. But that's the same thing. It's like, can't nobody tell me I can't do it. But I always try to make sure that they're both there. Just because we are all working together. Like, every person that has been on here except for one is a business partner. We all work together. Like, it's a great camaraderie feeling almost. Like, I can call anybody at any time of day if I need help with something. Doesn't
yeah,
have to be Derek. Doesn't have to be Evan. I could call you. It could be midnight here. I could call you. Hey, I need help with X, Y, or Z. Or shoot
And
you
I
a
was,
text, and you'll call me or text me back as soon as you get it.
yeah.
A lot of companies
Um,
don't have that.
yeah, it's a big deal.
100%. So just last closing question. Um, Anybody that's listening, what's the one biggest thing you want them to take from this? From all the stuff that we talked about, what's the one big thing you want people to remember the most?
I just would ask that people really think about what they want their life to look like long term and think about how they've been living life over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and think to themselves, if I keep going this way, like, am I going to be proud of myself in 10, 15 years? Am I going to be proud of what I've achieved, what I've done, what I've built, the family I have? Am I going to be proud of that? And that's the main and primary thought that governs majority of my decisions at all times. That's the main thing that I think about at all times. Am I going to be proud of this? Like, I'm going to be proud, even if I wasn't achieving as much success as I am now. I would be proud in the sense knowing that I'm really trying. I'm trying to make this happen and I'm doing as much as I can and I'm taking risks and I'm actually really challenging myself and improving and trying to get better. And I think like long term, if like you really try at something, you will be successful. I think people that aren't successful, they just didn't try hard enough, or they just aren't accountable. They can't be held
Hmm.
accountable. Need to be able to have a healthy ego that's in check. And
Hmm.
I have no problem being held accountable. If someone's like, you're not making enough money, you need to be hitting these targets, I'd be like, you know what, you're right. I should be doing more. So think about that. Everybody listening to this, think about, and some of you all might be a little bit older. You might be 40 or 50. Like, are you proud of yourself for what you have done over the last 10, 20 years? And it's okay if you're not, but now that you have thought about that, decide whether you're going to be proud of your current self in the future now. Think about that. And that's what I think about all the time. People will constantly not do what they feel like they should do because of someone else's opinion. And they'll just live in their own mental prison
Hmm.
because they don't want to offend certain people or they're just scared of what people might think. It was scary quitting that job. I was afraid. I would remember driving to my boss's office to tell him I was done. And it's so funny. I told him I was done, and he has never once contacted me or talked to me ever since then. And I was like, I was their guy. I was their guy. And none of them they don't care at all.
Oh, they don't give
They
a
don't
flying
care.
fuck.
You got to care about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just like a side note, but I was so afraid to go in there. I remember I was just so nervous and so scared of if I was screwing up my life,
Hmm.
that I'd make a mistake. Was I screwing up my life? And there was times I was early. I had financial issues early on in this business. Like I just wasn't making money. I'd spent a bunch of money, and I remember thinking like, just like, did I just ruin my entire life? Did I blow up my credit and lose out on all this money that I was making before? For what? And I just kept showing up. I was like, I'm in too deep at this point. I have to stay the course. And I just ended up making good money and just getting better and better and better and better and better. It just didn't happen. Nothing really kind of happened the way I thought it would. I thought I would make money immediately, and I didn't. I thought I would get in business with all my friends and all my friends would make money. It turns out it's just me, you know. I have other friends now that are in this
Hmm.
business that are, you mentioned Steve, right?
Yep.
But that's not how I thought things were going to go. I thought it was going to work perfectly to my design. It didn't work like that. But, I just stayed the course. But everybody, I'm getting off topic here as I like to do, but um, just think about if you're going to be proud of yourself, are you going to be proud of the effort that you put in or not? I don't want to get to 40 and think, wow, I just like wasted all this time not challenging myself and just screwing around, just watching football game after football game, watching other people build a great life. And I'm just sitting over here slowly dying and not doing anything. That's like my biggest fear that I don't want to live that life. My dad would live that life. My dad was a really successful doctor, but he never outperformed like the 40-year-old version of himself. He
Hmm.
just like gave up at that time. And he just like would just watch sports all day and just pass the years and pass the years and pass the years and never do anything else with his life. And some people are gonna hear that and be like, "Oh, like that's absurd. Like he's extremely successful or whatever." It's not about like just getting to a place and being content. It's like being in the pursuit of the best version of you. And like I always say, perfection is found like I'm just stealing it from someone. Perfection is found in the pursuit of perfection.
Hmm.
And I like being challenged. I like taking up new opportunities. And I think that's like a pretty masculine trait that most men have. They want to build, they want to conquer, they want to um, get better, they want to have success, achieve victory. And I think that's what it's about, chasing the next thing. So think about that. Are you actually doing that right now? And if you're not, like, do you want to do that? If you don't want to do that, no worries. If you don't think about it all the time, maybe it's not a big deal to you. I think about it literally all the time. And I didn't always used to. I was exposed to thinking that way. Just like some of you all right now listening might be exposed to thinking that way. And I always feel like once you're exposed to the life you could be living, you can't just turn that off. It's there now. Been exposed to it. What's possible? What's the potential? And if you don't go after it, you're going to feel a sense of regret long term. You're going to get there at 50 and time's ticking away and you're going to think I should have started that business. I should have just tried. Should have just tried. I had the time. I was complaining I didn't have enough money. I had plenty enough money now or then to start it. If you're 50 right
Hmm.
now, you might feel like that at 70. Get started with something. I just don't want to feel regret in the future. I just want to know that I gave it my best and I really tried. And that's all I think about.
And
So I just
that's,
ask other people to think that way too,
yeah,
because it's fulfilling.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's absolutely, that's great, great, great advice that I think a lot of people are going to hear that and it's gonna, that light bulb moment. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit of wisdom, telling your story. And again, I appreciate a lot of the time. This went little longer than I was planning, but hey, it was all good stuff. So I mean, I appreciate you taking that extra little bit of time and sitting with us.
Yeah, yeah, that's I talk too much, man. That happens. Yeah.